If you want to create content that truly resonates, start by listening. Your audience is already telling you what they care about. You just need to ask the right questions and use their answers to fuel smarter, more personalized marketing. That's a quote from Rachael Bassey and a sneak peek at today's episode. Hi there, I'm Carrie Curran, B2B Revenue Growth Executive Advisor, Industry Analyst, and host of Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast. Every episode, I sit down with top experts to bring you actionable strategies that drive real results. If you're serious about growth, hit subscribe and stay ahead of the competition. And from insight to impact, smarter research for personalization that resonates, I sit down with Rachael Bassey. She's the research partner to SaaS companies and the founder of ContentCollab.co, and we explore how small marketing teams can personalize content at scale through smarter, more targeted audience research. We dig into practical ways to uncover buyer pain points, engage prospects through collaboration, and create content that stands out, especially in a sea of generic AI overviews. If you're looking for a way to connect your content strategy to pipeline impact, you don't want to miss this conversation. Be sure to stay tuned to the end, where Rachael shares how to turn contributors into loyal brand advocates and why that's the smartest way to grow your content and your consumer base. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review so you don't miss future episodes packed with actionable advice. Let's go. So welcome, Rachael. Please introduce yourself and share your background and expertise.
Hey everyone, I'm Rachael Bassey. But people call me Ray, Ray of Sunshine, more like it. I work as research partner for SaaS companies. My specialization or expertise, as it were, is I help companies with create original research reports, and I'll dive into at some point what these reports are and how my process and things like that. But in a nutshell, that is it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I'm very excited to have you join us today because content is so critically important, and especially original content and research specific to the audience. So talk to us a bit kind of what you're seeing and hearing as you're talking to your prospects or clients of what are the needs in the marketplace these days when it comes to getting smarter, better content.
Okay. Before I get into that, thank you
Yeah,
so much, Kerry, for having me. Really, thank you.
of course.
Um, so two things. One AI. So
Yeah.
there's the whole thing. You have small companies that are like white border with in the whole process of hiring a writer when I can just go to ChatGPT and say, help me with my content plan, content calendar, and then 50 articles to upload on my blog and get it done. And so it's that, and then also that lots of people can easily spot articles written by ChatGPT, and people are tired of the robotic voice and the M dashes, even though I use a lot of it. So, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it's like, people want to hear things that actually sound human. People also are hungry for data, things that they can benchmark their performance against. And then you also have the other hand, which is budget cuts everywhere, left, right, center. And so CEOs, founders are asking the question, why should I invest more in marketing? How do we tie marketing to revenue? And so there's that debate of, okay, I mean, I saw a post where, like the whole marketing funnel is BS right now. And I'm like, okay. And then, so you just have
Yeah,
different arguments as to, is it really important to invest in marketing? Should we even bother right now?
yeah.
So that is pretty much what I'm seeing right now in this space.
Yeah, definitely. And It's so true. I can't have a conversation about marketing without AI being front and center. And there's a lot of value there. But to your point, if you're putting all of your creativity into the AI model, you're not going to get that quality that you need.
Yeah.
And adding to that is that with AI, the other side of AI is AI results in search results. Taking the generic rankings, you have to get smarter about the content so that your expertise can rank better as well. So
Absolutely.
so much opportunity here.
Right.
Yeah. So talk to me about like how are you solving for this? Like how people are, how are you helping your clients solve for this?
Great. Okay, so I'll just do a bit of like a rundown. So
Yeah.
I worked with a company called DataBox far back as 2019. I joined DataBox. I'm no longer with them,
Mhm.
but we started what I'd like to call collaborative marketing when it wasn't a thing, when
Yeah.
people didn't really care about talking to real people, experts, and collaborating with them to create content.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now you go on LinkedIn and you see a lot of people talking about original research, but before it became the deal, we started it. Like we were into
Mhm.
it. And so at the time, we were a small marketing team. I was employee 25 in the whole company, and the team itself were just like three people. So it was John, Speller, and then I. And so when you have a small marketing team, you just have so many balls, and then you have to figure
Yeah.
out, maybe one person is not even an expert in the industry, and you're like, okay, now I have to write 50 articles in 2 months about
Mhm.
something I'm not even an expert in. And so what we did at the time was to say, okay, we know these topics are important to our prospects, to our customers. How about we collaborate with them? And at the time, I think even up to now, agencies make up the majority of Databox's clients. So I remember like then I would spend so much time going through Clutch, I think that's what it's called, Agency Spotter, HubSpot directory, Pipedrive directory, trying to really find like databases of like agencies to reach out to them, to connect with them. And so that's how we started. Now, why? And the whole thing is when you work, you have a small marketing team. One way to create great so quality, and then in terms of if you want to also scale, is to collaborate with your prospects, with your customers. And it just made so much sense to involve these people in our content production process. And so we would create like simple surveys, ask them simple questions, collate their answers or their insights, and then publish this as articles, as blog articles. And then at some points, we stepped up to actually create like some benchmark reports. So,
Yeah.
for example, you are an advertiser, it's Facebook, Meta advertiser, whatever, and you're like, okay, what is the average click through rate in the industry, for example? And then yours is, I don't know, maybe 2.4 or something. And then the average is this. You're able to see because at this point, we collect this data and then we're able to actually then publish, it's like qualitative data, quantitative data, and
Mhm.
then you're able to compare what you're doing against what others are doing. Not in a way to say, oh my God, I'm failing, but okay, if there is room for improvement, why not? And then
Mhm.
that way, we were able to scale from publishing 2 articles a week to at some point we had an article for each day. And so
Amazing.
um, I moved up from DataBox because it was amazing. And at that point, people knew me as Rachel from DataBox. To Then I moved on to Tackle, which is now known as Featured. So if you know Harrow, Featured is pretty much their competitor. And so I'm like, okay, I did this for DataBox and I know it works. How can I do this for so many companies at once? And so, pretty much the same thing, but with Featured, I worked with like smaller teams to help them understand first and foremost. It's okay not to have like a huge marketing budget. It's okay to be a small marketing team, but you can do really good work if you focus on like talking to your customers, your prospects, getting them involved in the content production process. Because right now, whatever I'm going to write about civil engineering is just based on what I can find online. How about I talk
Right.
to real civil engineers who spend 8 hours on site to, okay, how do you conduct a land survey or something like that? Like, talk to them, and then they'll be able to tell you things that ChatGPT can't produce. Like, for example, your experience, Kerry, is unique to you. No matter
Hmm.
how much I feed ChatGPT, it's not going to be able to tell me all the things that you've been able to accumulate in, I don't know, decades, for example, right? So I just keep it short, but pretty much that's it. And then I started my own thing after Featured, but that's it.
Hey everyone, it's me, Carrie Curran. If you're a B2B company that sells to marketers, whether you're an agency, MarTech, or AdTech, and your revenue is either flattening, declining, or just not growing fast enough, I can help. I've spent my entire career selling, marketing, and servicing marketers, so I know firsthand the challenges they face, the buying decisions they make, and what actually moves the needle. The truth is, most marketing strategies aren't built for revenue growth, but mine are. As your fractional chief growth officer, I'll bring revenue-focused marketing strategies designed specifically for selling to marketers, deep expertise in agency, MarTech, and AdTech buying behaviors, modern go-to-market strategies that include everything from brand awareness to driving loyalty and retention, and a track record of doubling and even tripling revenue for B2B companies just like yours. So if you're tired of your stagnant results and you're ready to build a marketing engine that actually drives revenue, let's talk. Visit revenuebasedmarketing.com or connect with me on LinkedIn to schedule a consultation. Together, let's build a smarter, more profitable path forward. RBMA, Revenue-Based Marketing Advisors, we're revenue-based marketing that works. Excellent. So talk to me about the process though. So you're interviewing, you're finding the kind of the target audience of your clients and interviewing them. And you said, so you're just kind of researching to find the experts. And how do you even start with what you should ask them?
Great. So it depends on the level I'm working with. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, a current client of mine is our first meeting. I was like, "Oh, so you tell me about your ideal clients," and then they mentioned the founder mentioned like 8 different groups, and I'm like, "How do I even reach out to?" It's like you cannot be catering to 8 groups,
Right.
like it's just impossible. So for
Mm-hmm.
some people, they're not even clear about their ideal clients or ICP as it were.
Yep.
So then I'm like, okay, first we need to get that right, because if we can get that right, then everything else is just cake, it's just easy.
Yep.
And so, what I do first and foremost is sit down and then say, okay, who are your ideal clients? Where are they based? What do they talk about? What do they write about? Things like that. And so, with this client of mine, for example, I can tell you I have been spending 80% of my work time on Facebook groups. It's crazy. I don't even know why I'm paying for LinkedIn Premium at this point, because it's like I'm like listening to bloggers and creators and then entrepreneurs, and like, what are they talking about? Are they interested? Because this is a
Mm-hmm.
Shopify team. Do they actually want this? Or is this
Yep.
something that you just thought, oh, okay, this is cool. I'm just going to create something. And so when you spend a lot of time and you then reach out to these people, like with a basic survey, which I created, and then that way I'm able to I designed the survey in such a way that I'm able to figure out their pain points. And
Mm-hmm.
if majority of them do not list, for example, having issues monetizing their content, which is a lot of what I realize lots of creators are struggling with at this point, then there's no point doing this. It's like, for example, Databox saying, oh, we want to help companies collate all their like different tools and be able to analyze the data on one dashboard. But if that is not a problem that companies care about,
Right.
you should not exist. And so,
Right.
first and foremost, if you say this is the pain point you're trying to help your customers solve, but it's not even an issue, or sometimes actually people don't even know that this is a problem that they have. So maybe
Right.
talking to them, then it dawns on them like, oh my God, I should be doing this. But you only figure this out by talking to these groups and then you nail that down. So first, what I do is help them figure out their ICP if they haven't. And
Mm-hmm.
then, which actually are just expanded because pretty much a lot of the companies I worked with before had that figured out. Or
Yeah.
some of them pivoted over time. The more they spoke to their customers and prospects, the more like, okay, we should probably, change this,
Yeah.
change that. And then once that is done, then okay, so I then sit down and I'm like, okay, we need your ICP, but then there's also something I call like the ideal contributor profile. So this is because also I spend a lot of time using LinkedIn Premium. I could probably write a whole article about how to figure out that tool. But if you know who, so for example, Kerry, um, in your case, I would say, okay, maybe you are my ideal customer, but I know that okay, my ideal customer lives in Boston, has is the CEO, then things like that, from industry to
Yeah.
location to how many employees, for example, because sometimes talking to the senior vice president of a company that has 5,000 employees is just total waste of time because
Yep.
they'll tell you, oh, we need this person to approve that and our PR team to approve this because you're
Yep.
literally going to court, you know. So if you tell me, okay, your ideal customers are these people, then I sit down with you and say, okay, we need to fill out this, check these things off. So, for example, their industry or their job titles, for example. Another thing could be um, it could also be things like their skill sets. I remember one time I had to find people, it was like a pipe drive survey or something like that. Sometimes I go as far as certifications because people, if you get certified, I don't know, HubSpot something, something, you would
Yep.
update your LinkedIn to have that. So there were times when I reached out to people that had just certain specific certifications as well. And so when that is done, we're clear on who your ideal customers are and then the contributors. Another reason why it's so important to do this is remember when I said people are making budget cuts because they cannot tie marketing
Mm-hmm.
to revenue. The thing is, no one wants to be pitch slapped on LinkedIn right now.
Yep. Yep.
But a client of mine, an influencer marketing software. When I started working with them, we're like, okay, how can we actually tie all this to make sure that somehow we're connecting with the people that matter to us revenue wise? And
Mm-hmm.
how can the CEO is just going to be like, oh, this is nice, but how are we actually bringing money at the end of the day? And so agencies are amazing to reach out to prospect to ask for insights because they understand the value of a backlink. They understand the value of having their name on a blog article.
Yep.
But for some people, they don't care. And
Yep.
so they're like, oh, yes, we can get e-commerce agencies. But then at the end of the day, these are not our ideal customers. And so I said, okay, just tell me your ideal customers. And then what we did was we narrowed it down to in-house e-commerce professionals. So people
Yep.
that are e-commerce experts or influencer marketing managers, rather, sorry. So in-house influencer marketing professionals that work at e-commerce brands. So these are their ideal customers.
Yep.
So rather than just reaching out to e-commerce agencies for the sake of reaching out to them because I know I'll be able to get an insight or two, what I decided to do was just to focus on these guys because not only are we going to get insights that would help us create data rich articles, articles that are relevant, reach everything, original research, all that stuff. But ultimately, these guys are also their ideal customers. So, and that makes it easy for the marketing manager to say, hey, thank you so much for contributing to this report. And then the good thing is, as an influencer marketing manager, at the end of the month, you're expected to submit a report about your performance. And then, say, for example, you're in the market shopping for a tool that can help you do that or connect you with influencers. The first tool that will come to your mind is this software because
Yep.
primarily
Hmm.
this is what they do.
Yep.
So there
So
were
true.
even people that I reached out to and they're like, oh my God, I've been thinking of this tool. Can I get a free trial? And I'm like, of course, please. so, yeah, so one thing is that, so the whole ICP thing, this is like such a long thing. I'm going to try to talk. Like, if I'm running out, if I'm talking too much, please just let me know. You know, I'm such a
No, this
talker.
is no, because this is so valuable, Rachel, because I think you're really getting into the strategic part of understanding the audience and their pain points, but then another critically important aspect of marketing is relationship building. So it's like you're tying it all in. So please keep going.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So one thing is, okay, so ICP done. We know that we're reaching out to people that make sense revenue wise or down the cycle. They're at some point going to want to buy or subscribe for like a free trial. The second thing is the survey, right?
Yep.
How do you figure out what to write about? Back then at DataBox, we would do things like um, Google Trends, also spending a
Hmm.
lot of time using Hrefs and all the SEO
Yep.
tools to see the topics that your competitors are writing about, what they compete, the ones that, you know, the gap, what are the things that they have that we don't have, we haven't written about. Also, you talk to your customers and then you figure out, oh my God, they need answers to XYZ question. We should probably write an article about that. And one thing I do when I'm bored is I spend a lot of time I just do social listening. I just told you I've been spending a
Yep.
lot of time on
So
Facebook
smart.
market
Hmm.
Facebook groups. And so
Yep.
you see things that people are asking around like questions. Your ideal customers are asking questions about certain topics. And
Yep.
sometimes if you do the whole the maybe use an SEO tool to check for they call it keyword difficulty. Whether
Yep.
it makes sense to actually write about this, because sometimes these things are like the low hanging fruits. Maybe
Yep.
you don't really have
Hmm.
companies writing about this,
Yep.
but perhaps it will matter in the next 5 years. And if you write about it
Hmm.
now, you would be like number one, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So one thing is to spend a lot of time in groups or in spaces where your ideal customers are, because they are
Hmm.
asking questions that you have to answer and
Yep.
you will be their go-to resource for these insights.
Yep.
One. Two, you can also spend a lot of time playing with tools, SEO tools, to see what your competitors are talking about, are writing about,
Hmm.
things like that. That way you're also able to, for the SEO sake, do those things
Yep.
as
Yep.
well. um Google Trends, this I have found to be like useful, especially if you, because
Hmm.
I, for some reason, I just attract all these creator focused companies, and so obviously their customers are spending a lot of time on social media, so you have to
Yep.
spend a lot of social media or a lot of time on social media to say, okay, this, people are
Hmm.
asking about this, people are talking about this. LinkedIn, the thing is, people trash LinkedIn a lot, but depending on who you're following, you can,
Hmm.
there's so much value that you could get on that
Yep.
platform.
Hmm.
One time, for example, writing an article about outreach, for example, cold outreach, I think, if it's just that my what I do now, I don't really care about that. But if I was to work with a client, for example, who would tell me, Rachel, please, I need your help reaching out to people that specialize in cold prospecting to get real examples of how they are
Yep.
killing it. I think this would be useful because a lot of people shit on cold prospecting. But Kerry, how did I
Yeah.
get here?
Yeah. You found me. You reached out to me. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
So smart.
you have to
Yeah.
like, and then maybe someone is out there saying, "Oh, I really want to get on a podcast. What should I say? How should I pitch?" Then you, Rachel, would
Yeah.
have to reach out to someone like Rachel to say, "Hey,
Right.
don't just,
Mm-hmm.
there is a process, and
Yeah.
this is what works for me. You have to
Yeah.
find XYZ, do XYZ to get there."
Yeah.
And so really that's it. Like you spend a lot of time um doing all these things. There's just so many things to write
Yeah.
about, really.
Well,
uh
with the social listening as well, I think that's something that historically, I know I have another episode where we talk about social listening for consumer brands and all of the data and research available. But I think that, to your point, is an area where B2B brands aren't leaning into as much. And I think,
yes,
as you've mentioned, like that is, it's so important. All of these strategies are so important for B2B, and especially getting to know what your ICP pain points are. And Reddit as well. I think you've talked about a lot of the platforms, but Reddit seems to be one of the most valuable that I've found. Yeah.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
Reddit, it's crazy that I use Reddit for a lot of things. I should use it
Yeah.
more for marketing, but I use it for random things. Like when I'm trying to figure out, oh, like reviews about XYZ, I go to Reddit. Like I
Yeah.
Google stuff and then I add Reddit as my keyword. I should do it
Yeah.
more for
Yeah.
I know I did it one time when for outreach, like to
Yeah.
see how people are reaching out to their ideal customers, but not for
Hmm.
articles or any, just generally to see other things that people are doing that I haven't thought about. And then I got lots of insights as well. But people are also very good at, like if you go there and you just put like a link,
Yeah.
just get out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So this is great, Rachel. So much valuable input, like you said. Get, the value is there, and you need to do the research to really find that unique point to connect with your audience. So for someone listening today, like what do they need to get started? What are kind of the basics?
Um, just understand the value of marketing. It's as
Yep.
simple as that. Honestly, I mean, as I mentioned, I'm working with a client right now who doesn't even have ICP in place,
Yep.
but yet we're working together. A lot of people have the assumption or run with the assumption that I need a lot of money. No, you don't. I promise
Right.
you, you don't. And also, it's the, oh my God, my marketing team is just I and one other intern. That's also okay. If you partner with the right people, you can publish just as much, but better.
Hmm. Yep.
And then
Yeah.
I need to also say this. So another a client of mine, one thing that they did, and for me, this is just excellent. So you get these people to contribute to your blog article or to share their insights as a survey and blah blah blah. That is done. Another thing you can do is, okay, thank you so much, Kerry, for sharing your insights. I found XYZ points to be valuable. Actually, next week on our podcast, we would like to talk about XYZ point that you mentioned. Would you like to come on our pod as a guest?
Hmm. Hmm.
So what I
So
am
smart.
doing is giving Carrie another opportunity to be part of my home. And before you know it, Carrie isn't just a cold person that doesn't know about what I do. Carrie is now a friend. So
Yep.
automatically, at some point, she's now a podcast guest. And then in 2 months' time, I'm like, oh, I should spotlight someone on my newsletter. And then I decide to say, oh, Kerry, would you like to be like, just send me 5 lines about what you do and blah, 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 blah. And then the newsletter, you're featured on my
Yeah.
newsletter as well. And then another thing is don't forget that there's the part about content repurposing. So you can repurpose that blog article into a newsletter. And then there is the part of social sharing as well, because then I share this article and I tag you
Yep.
automatically. what would Kerry do? Kerry will reshare on her platform. Now, also remember that Kerry is my ideal customer. So 80% chance that a lot of the people that follow Kerry are also my ideal customers.
Yeah.
So Kerry shares, and then they get to see my stuff as well. So can you see how just a marketing team of 1 or 2 people, we're already doing work of, and it's not just us, we're collaborating with other people as well. This is so powerful, and it pains me that I even have to write about how remarkable it is. And I'm like, why do I have to sell this?
And you're so right. And you're so smart, because I think I know personally, I spend so much time researching, but to start interviewing your target audience who's not already your client is just brilliant. And I think it's to your point, it's it's not super easy, but it's a manageable opportunity, and especially someone pulls you in, Rachel, to help. So so tell us, how can people get in touch with you?
Rachael Bassey. I need to say this, not the American way of spelling my name. So it's Rachael. A is important, okay? And then Bassey, Bassey. I am every day on, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. My website, I'm currently working on it right now, but contentcollab.co. Or you can also just shoot me an email, Rachel at Content Collab. So that is content and then collab, COLLAB.co. And pretty much that's it. We just one text, one message on LinkedIn, and I'll be more than happy to chat about this.
Excellent. Thank you, Rachel. I'll put all your contact information in the show notes, but thank you for finding me on LinkedIn and asking to join, because I loved this topic. It's so actionable. I'm already like, I already know my takeaways and what I can do better after our conversation. So I know the listeners will have the same response. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kerry, for having me. Thank you. This was lovely.
Huge thanks to Rachael Bassey for joining us today. Her insights on using original research to create personalized, relevant, and scalable content are exactly what modern marketers need right now. If this episode sparked ideas for how your team can better connect with your audience, share it with a colleague, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. For more strategies to connect marketing with revenue, head over to revenuebasedmarketing.com, and please follow me, Kerry Curran, on LinkedIn today. We'll see you soon.